What is up, everybody? Welcome back to High School Never Ends, a pop punk dad podcast. I'm Wingman Steve.
And I'm Chris, 183.
And here we are. It's cold. It's December, and it's time to look back on this year. We are talking all about albums that came out in the year 2025. Last week, we talked about Yellow Card, which was very, very much anticipated. Let's say a band that we loved 20-something years ago come out with a new album, and there's another one that we have to talk about, Chris, that I was quite excited for.
You are excited for this one. You're a big super fan. You've met the individual gentleman from the band in person. Yes.
I have had some brief interactions, yes.
Ooh, I was about to spill it, and I know you want to, but yes, you've had some brief interactions, some of them better than others. But again, I'll let you say it because I know you've been a lifelong fan of this band. And I mean like way back, like even when you were 5.
When I was five, Kenny was like 2 maybe, so that might be a little too early. But yes, I love you, Kenny. I love the Starting Line. Been a fan for a long time, and they came out with their 4th full-length record this year, almost 18 years after their last full-length record. It's called Eternal Youth, and we're going to talk about it. And we have another Starting Line super fan along with us, Sam. How are you, sir?
Oh boy, is it good to be back, especially for this one.
It's really obnoxious sometimes when we share things with you via email and I have to remember that your email starts with TSL instead of like your actual name. But I guess that means you're the right person to be on here.
It's been my email since 2002.
Nice.
Oh, that stands for the Starting Line. I just figured it out right now. I thought that meant like the Sam something, but it's not.
So TSL, the Starting Line, 726 is Sam on a phone pad.
Oh, you didn't need to give away your whole email address. Now everyone's going to email you. I was going to say TSL 21299. That would have been the one to go for.
Oh, TSL 726 at hotmail.com.
AOL.
So funny fact is that when this album came out, that we're going to talk about today, I received a text message. I want to say daily, but that's probably not enough. I probably would say maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 times a day. Did you listen to the new Starting Line? Did you listen to the new Starting Line? Did you listen to the new Starting Line? And these messages were coming from the gentleman that you just introduced, Steve.
And how long before you answered in the affirmative?
It was at least a day or 2 before I had no choice.
It was probably longer than that, but whatever it was an unacceptable amount of time that had passed.
Of course.
So we're all big fans of this band. I would say again, it's been 18 years or so since 18 years since they put out a full length record. Sam, were you excited about new Starting Line? I mean, they're a band that kind of lives in nostalgia. You know, they do some tours. They play a lot locally here in Philly, New Jersey. And they have this catalog of songs that are pretty old. They had, the 3-song EP that came out a couple of years ago. But first time we're seeing a collection from them. Did you want more Starting Line?
Oh, I definitely wanted more. And there's, with the big like uptick in bands coming back over the last couple of years, this is one that I probably would have never guessed would have actually made the return. But man, am I excited about it, because exactly what they put out is what I was expecting them to put out. And I was super pleased.
Can you expand on that real quick? Why is it that you weren't expecting this one?
Expecting the album?
Yes.
If you look through like the band's history, like Kenny especially has just never been really big on making it. It's been more about making what he enjoys. And he's kind of found that lane through his side projects, specifically Vacationer. So it just seemed like that ship had sailed. I mean, these guys, him being the youngest member, hitting 41, you kind of start thinking time's a ticking. But there were signs. They have their annual concerts and things like that where they were popping in here and there. But I think even for them, it gets a little stale to still be playing a lot of the same songs from, 2002 to 2005. So it's good. It's welcome. Little tidbits here, but I'm glad they made the full return.
And would you say in general that you are more of a fan of the, let's say, with hopes of starting over, say it like you mean it starting line, or the starting to get a little bit more mature, based on a true story direction starting line in generalities?
Definitely the more mature stuff. I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to like a bass or not bass, say it like you mean it, just for obviously getting me into the band. But I was Boats or Based on a True Story to this day is one of hands down my top albums of all time.
Chris, what are your thoughts on like the divide? Because I think there is. I mean, it's not like it's stark line in the sand, but it's pretty clear cut that after Say It Like You Mean It, the band evolved, not in a bad way, but the band evolved, got a little bit more mature, changed their sound a little bit, a little less on that bubblegum pop punk kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which side of the line are you more gravitating towards?
You know me. I bubblegum only lasts for so long before you have to spit it out. And I think that the more mature flavors always last longer. And in this case, I think that's where my preference does lie. I do see a stark differential, though, and maybe it's just my ear. Maybe it's just because I'm a layman when it comes to the starting line versus you guys that are diehard fans. I'm not as big of a diehard fan of this band, but I hear like a stark differential in a lot of the ways that they make music, the way Kenny sings, a lot of that, right? It's just different. And I like it. I think that it brings just a whole different dynamic. You know, you can't take away what their initial albums, you know, meant to do, and the sound that it brought to us and the impact it had. And I think it had its place, and it still does. People still enjoy them. You guys do. But now in my life, you know, thinking about things that I really can enjoy, I just find the more mature sound, and I don't know if this is what you were asking me, but I definitely want to talk about it. I find the more mature sound somewhat just more it's more comforting, or it's more comfortable for me. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it.
You know what I associate? I always the comparison I draw is similar, like to what Newfound Glory did with Coming Home, where I think at the time it wasn't super well received, but Coming Home to me is one of my favorite albums for Newfound Glory. So I don't know that I like when they do that kind of expected path and just build on what made them popular. Even lyrically, when you look at the starting line then versus now, I mean, their old lyrics didn't leave a lot for interpretation. I mean, calling out specific names, people, dates, places that were very near and dear to him. And now, if you look at some of the lyrics, it's less personal, very much so open to interpretation, which I like. I like to see that kind of that graduation, if you will, or that transition lyrically, because it just makes, I think it makes for a stronger song that holds up for a little bit longer period of time.
Sure. And Steve, you know, for you, is there a way for you to can you take the nostalgia glasses off, because you have so much nostalgia and so much history with the early albums? Can you make the statement based on, you know, what we've been saying without that, or is that impossible?
No, I mean, I don't even think it's necessary, because I've been a fan from the start. And listen, if that gum is stale, it's still in my mouth, and it's been many, many years. Maybe I do need a new piece, but I'm still chewing it. You know, I see these guys. I think I've seen the starting line more than I've seen any other artist ever. And just because they do play once a year here, and I do usually go, not every year, but most years, I'm going in 2 weeks to see them. Homegrown is opening. They now call it Reconnect. It's a thematic thing that they're going to do each year. They have great opening acts. It was started that last year, and then they're continuing it now. But honestly, where I got into the starting line with their EP and Say It Like You Mean It it's never not going to be my favorite starting line record. Like, it will not ever not be my favorite starting line record. But as starting line continued to put out new music, when Boats and Direction came out, I was still on board for all those. I enjoyed the music that they put out. Subsequently, I kind of grew up with Kenny, you know, he somewhat, because we were about the same age. He was, I think, the first band that I listened to where the singer was younger than me by maybe a year, maybe two, somewhere around there. But as he kind of matured, I matured, and I kept listening. So I've been seeing these songs and the whole catalog for many, many years. So now to have something new, it's interesting. How the hell am I going to digest this? I have not had a new starting line record in a very, very long time. I will say that the earlier stuff, to say it like you mean it, it's held a little more near and dear to my heart. And I feel like this album is taking that next step after Direction. I mean, I feel like they're continuing the same type of trajectory. You know, he's not 25 or 28 or anymore. He's in his late 30s, early 40s when this is being written and recorded and all that good stuff. And we're seeing that stuff come out in the songs. But if I'm making a comparison, this album is the next step from Direction for sure. It's not Say It Like You Mean It. It's not Yellow Card putting out Better Days to call us back to Lights and Sounds. It's kind of continuing on that maturation. And we'll get into if that's my favorite starting line or how I'm digesting it. Because it wasn't, honestly, on the first full listen to this record, it wasn't as easily digested as I would have hoped or expected. I will say, sense of humor, that single came out. I'm like, fuck yes, I'm in. This is perfect. We did our recording. We listened to the video together and all that good stuff. Circulate, maybe a little less so, but still. And everything else that's on this record is not really that. So I didn't find it the easiest to listen to or to be like, oh man, I love this on the first go around. I'm wondering how you guys thought on the first listen. This is 18 years of anticipation.
Before I say anything, can I respond
sure.
to what you said? I think, subconsciously you answered my question without answering my question. I know you kind of opened it up with, you didn't think it was necessary to even think that way, but in your answer, you could tell that you had just very, very long, tight, roots that were just seated in nostalgia for this band. And it absolutely it has to, right? And that's probably the same for a lot of people, with a lot of different bands. And for you, this one, it's hard to get away from that. You've had experiences, with this band growing up. You've had music that has played during times that you remember, on top of the fact that you've been such a big fan of pop punk and the starting line specifically. So in a lot of ways, I'm not saying you're not objective. Of course you are, but it's hard to get away from that. I think that's kind of what you said. Now, I understand, you just like I and Sam are going to be very objective about this. I probably have a little bit different of opinion based on the fact that I'm not in the same spot that you guys are. But it's okay. I'm not, I'm just kind of bringing it up because it's hard to get away from that. At our age, really thinking back on the music that we love and new stuff comes out, it's different to get away from our just general opinions about it. But I'll let to your question, I'll let Sam answer first. Go ahead, Sam.
So for being a super fan of the band, and I couldn't agree more with a lot of the things that you just said, Steve. Around, I heard Sense of Humor when that first dropped. It was first like a teaser clip, and then the actual song, and I was just like, oh my god, if I get an album full of this, I think I don't know that it can be exceeded. But then I listened to it the first time through, and there was something definitely about the first listen through where I think like the takeaway that I remember having is like, beyond the singles that I've heard, I don't know that there was another track that really stood out to me. Well, there was definitely one additional, which we'll talk about, but I remember kind of the middle to kind of their scattered parts of the album where it just kind of seemed to blur and didn't really stand out too much. But the more I listened to it, the more I kind of picked up on things that I really liked about every song. And it's grown on me tremendously for sure. There's also something about the comment to like this being the follow-up to Direction. I think that's spot on too. I think it's a nice kind of evolution. It's kind of on the same trajectory they were going on. I think it helps that they've kept the same band members for forever.
Yeah. Rare.
But yeah, super rare. But also something I appreciate. But yeah, it's a little bit of that next step from Direction with I would say a little bit of an added flair of experimentation there, but not a whole lot.
Chris, did you have anything that you wanted to go into? Or I have a couple of comments on the album as a whole and something interesting that I observed, but I don't want to cut you off.
And before we go too far too, I'm curious, Steve, you mentioned you've seen them a bunch. Do you know when your first Starting Line show was?
Well, let's see. If you pause for 1 second while I pull up my spreadsheet, I could certainly tell you, but it had to be around 2001 or 2002.
I went back to look at the ones that my first starting line concert was May 17th, 2002. And it was a Finch tour with Brand New, The Starting Line, and Autopilot Off.
That's pretty sick. I beat you by 1 month. It was April 19th, 2002. They played at the Skate and Surf Festival. That looks like the first time I saw them. I saw them again in '02 at Warped Tour, and then I guess the first time that I saw them not on a festival was also in '02. It looks like I saw them 3 times that year. They played with Real Big Fish and the Kicks. So
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
that I saw the Finch tour November of 22. They did a show with Early November and a band that I still love to this day called Park.
Oh yeah.
I saw them in for their drive-through stage on Warped Tour 2002, and then 2003 for their drive-through Invasion tour.
Yep. Actually, if we're looking at calendar year, I saw them 4 times that year. They played on December 30th, so right before New Year's, at this sports action park on Long Island with Simple Plan and Brand New. That was a fucking time.
They had some crazy band lineups on their tours. It was always good stuff.
But yeah,
good
my search says 22. If I search for the word starting, I don't think there's any more startings in here. I don't want to click through all of them, but 22, that's a lot of times to see a band. I guess it'll be 23 in a couple of weeks.
You may even have me beat just because of where you live too.
Yeah, this is hometown.
Hometown. Yeah.
So one thing that I found with this record, and so first off, it is a very strange record to listen to in its entirety, because this is the only record that I can really think of where I feel like the songs function better listening to them individually than they do as an album. Because when you listen to this whole album, I feel like a few things. I feel like it lacks like real strong hooks. Sense of Humor, Circulate has some. A couple other songs have them, but I feel like it lacks hooks. And there's a lot of similarities that I find, like vocally and thematically within the tracks. You know, we kind of look at the naming songs or conceptualizing songs over one word that's a sentiment, and potentially repeating that word multiple times. It happens a few times. I also found that the lyrics are not like super easy to decipher. Like, I didn't really get the lyrics until I searched them up, printed them out. That's always an exercise when I do an album spotlight, is to read the lyrics while I'm listening, but they're not really easy to grasp, which is something that I always felt like Starting Line kind of was. I feel like that's a little bit different. So I've never, again, but then when I started to, I'm like, all right, it's time to like write some notes. Listen to the album a whole bunch of times. Let's write some notes, song by song. I'm listening to these songs. I even texted Chris. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a bit mid on this album. I don't know if this is really jumping out at me. And then when you listen to them song by song and just one at a time, I feel like there are positives that you can take out of almost every single one of them. So I don't know. I don't know. Did either of you guys, Chris, do you have any of that experience?
Go ahead, Chris.
I'll just keep it brief here. I think overall for me, it was a album that, it's not necessarily a grouping of songs that potentially stand out. I think that there's a lot of background songs that create more of a vibe for you versus songs that stand out that you could instantly remember, memorable. Maybe that goes back to the hooks that you talked about. And I do think there are good hooks on this. I don't think that they're necessarily super melodic in a lot of ways or catchy in that respect. I think they're just different. It's more artsy, in his approach and the way that he delivers, the lyrics and the guitar over it. But I also think that if you listen to the album as a whole, as it goes on, as it moves on towards, the latter half, it doesn't change a ton in terms of the application of sound and the guitar. And it becomes, a little bit tired towards the end, again, as one whole body of work. So to your point about individual songs potentially, and I do see that some of these probably get better with time, with age, and individually, sure, I see that too. So that was my overall take on this. I'll pass it to you, Sam.
You said a couple of things. Well, both of you have that that I also kind of think are true. Lyrically, I'm kind of known for any album really that I get into. I tend to memorize the lyrics to the entire album pretty quickly. This is one that to this day I still struggle to memorize some of the lyrics, and they're not that hard, but to your point, they are kind of difficult to distinguish throughout the songs. Something I've learned recently is I don't know that I'm the biggest Will Yip fan who produced this album. Something about the quality, the production quality. I've read a lot online with people like talking about his vocals seeming really drowned out in the overall mix and stuff. It's just weird to me, but I'm not the biggest. I'm finding that I'm not the biggest Will Yip fan. So there's something to kind of the overall production that I think also speaks to the lyrics and what's so hard to decipher there. Um, yeah, I don't disagree with the other part around like the individual tracks. When I think back to that first listen through, I definitely feel like there were, like I said, there was a lot of songs that were a blur, but the more I listened to it, the more I realized like there isn't a single song on this album that I just flat out dislike. There are some elements of every song that I really like. Some, to your point, Steve, just are kind of lacking the hooks that would make the song even stronger. But I think it makes up for, or those songs do make up for it in other parts of them. So,
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't think of another album where I could make that particular comment where I feel like the songs individually work better than the album as a whole. Because to be honest, the first time or two I listened to it, there's a lot of music that came out in 2025, a lot of music that came out in, Q3, Q4 of 2025. And by the time that Yellow Card came around, I mean, I wasn't even trying to listen to this because I listened to it a couple of times and I'm like, a lot of this sounds like his background music to me. It didn't hook me. And it took some dedicated listening to start to get into these songs, and we can get into them shortly here. But it didn't carry the hooks, didn't hook me, didn't earworm me the way that even Direction, which is I feel like they get a little bit less hooky and catchy and poppy as time goes on, which is fine. But I felt like even Direction, there was a lot of different types of songs, and I didn't feel like I was ever bored not listening to that. And again, once I've given this some true listens, I wouldn't say that I'm bored listening to it, but maybe it's better popping into playlists, popping in and out of these songs than listening to 11 in a row. I guess we'll make some determinations as we go.
I think there's a time and a place for background music, though, and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. It's a vibe. It's a different type of feeling when you listen to this album. It's not meant to again knock you down. It's meant to just take you through and makes you feel a certain way. And if I have people over, we're playing games or just talking, and it's whatever. This is an album that I'd like to have on in the background. This is an album that, I could end up just like kind of sitting there, not saying a word, getting into a song, coming in and out of it. But I will say that there are songs, just to finish up this point, that if I lose focus for a second, it doesn't bring me back into the song. Like it's over and I'm on to the next song.
Sure. I understand that.
That's not great, but that could also just be my time with the album too. I don't know. It's hard to really judge. I did listen to this just like you did many, 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 many times, but that's an initial assessment.
It's also interesting that when I saw them last winter, they played two songs that they called new songs, right? And I didn't remember which ones up until right now I'm looking at the set list for the show that I went to. And so this started with me thinking like, I'm excited to now have this album and see them live and see what they play live and how I react to it live, because it definitely can be different than listening to it in my car or on my computer or whatever. And it's funny, I went back and took a look right now at what songs, the new songs they played, and it wasn't Circulate. It wasn't Sense of Humor.
I think I know.
Go ahead. You want to guess?
Is one of them Blame?
It was Blame. And I think it was the first time they ever played Granted. So again, these are two songs that end up, I guess Blame is number 3, but Granted is number 8 toward the end of it. But these are not the songs that they let off like singles or whatever, but these are the ones that they tried out live first. So I'm very interested. I don't want to look at the set list of anything they've done recently, and I don't know that they've actually played too recently, but I'm very curious to see what the set list looks like when I go in December.
They just, well, as part of the Eternal Youth tour, that you get a lot more of the new album, but it's what you would expect, I think. I won't spoil anything.
I see how it is. All right, cool. So just there's really no stats on this album. I mean, it came out September 26th of this year, 2025. It was released independently. They have their own label called Lineage Records. You had mentioned, Sam, that it was produced by Will Yip. There's nothing else. There's no tracking. There's no sales or anything like that. So it's an independent release. Again, it took them 18 years to put out a full length record after Direction, although they did have an EP, again, a handful of years ago. And this is what we got. We got 11 songs. It's called Eternal Youth. And unless we have anything else, you guys want to get into it?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right. Sam, you've been waiting for this a long time. Why don't you tell us how it is?
Oh, I see how it is. We're just going to keep throwing that around.
Slow hanging fruit,
So I have to take this one with some context behind what we were just talking about through by listening to the first single. So here's Sense of Humor. I promised myself that I wouldn't hear anything else if they released it beyond that until the album dropped. I play this song and I just felt like, okay, first of all, this is such a strong opener. I love like how songs kick off with that muted guitar before it comes in with like some heavy vocals to really kick the song into gear. I love like the raspy kind of shouting vocals that kind of carry throughout the song. I really feel like the song is carried by the vocals, but if I were to say anything about this song, I would say that I think it's in the right spot. The music itself is pretty basic to it, but I think it's heavily carried by the vocals, and it's just such a strong opener to really set the tune to kind of transition to the next track. I'd say very fast, punchy, but good song.
So you did not listen to Circulate, is what you're saying. You ignored that.
I ignored. That's a lie. I did hear Circulate, but I didn't listen to it repeatedly.
Okay, Sam is a liar. We believe nothing else that he says. Chris,
you caught me on that one.
How do you see how it is?
I see it. So the raspiness is what I had first here. You get that, and you get that sound. You get that Kenny New sound. I think that it works. I think it sounds great, actually. So this song hit me right away too as a song that I really could sink my teeth into in terms of getting into this album. And it's a feeling that I wanted to try and explain. So if you look at the album cover, and potentially it was the video that was playing behind this song in Spotify, but I don't know if that's what the video looks like or not. But a lot of this album is black and white in the visuals. And I think that for whatever reason, I feel like the song, the feeling of the song, the way the song's constructed, the sound, it feels like that black and white theme for some reason, like that just Midwest. It's not even Midwestern because they're not from there, but just that muted black and white theme. It's
through an 8mm camera.
I don't even know it. Like, it's not retro, but it's just something about it. It just all fits perfectly. And it's really cool. Like, I think it's really cool the way that it makes you feel that way. And it kind of works with the aesthetic of the visual that they've put forth in several of the video elements of this album. So, and visuals, I should say. So really, really cool there. I wanted to point that out because even though that's super abstract and probably most people won't even understand what I'm talking about, it's what hit me first. But I think that, as Sam said, there was definitely some really, really high points to pick out here. I love the call and answer chorus that you get here, a certain love between us, a certain love between us, like that. That was really catchy to me, like catchy in a different way, right? We talked about, the hooks and the catchiness of it, but I really like that. And I thought it kind of attracted you to the song. And then also the guitar. And I also think this is a catchy part of it and very infectious is the 1-2 guitar rhythm. It's probably one of the main reasons why I really enjoy this song. And I think they do it a lot on this album. So it might be why I've really settled into liking this album more so than not. I also think finally it sets, a really distinct tone for this slightly like grungier, heavier, dirtier approach with the guitars and the music, and really just kind of takes us away from that bubblegum sound in a lot of ways, and basically tells us, hey, this is what we're going to sound like on this, and I think they stick to it for sure. But I thought it was like Sam said, I thought it was a great intro track.
I remember seeing some interviews with Kenny talking about how the title fight was a big influence for a lot of the albums that they make. And I've been listening to that a lot more. And I feel like this style of vocals, like that kind of grungy sound that he's yelling is right up that alley. And I'm all about it. If we had more songs like that, I'd be one happy starting line fan.
Yeah, I think from the very start, again, if we're comparing, I think that from the moment it kicks off, that this is going to be more of the direction starting line than the say it like you mean it starting line. The bubblegum's been spit out, the pop punk is kind of gone. We're into this, mid-tempo rock. It doesn't lose all of that, but it's more of, I feel like they're kind of more of like just like a rock band now, and they have this mid-tempo rock number to kind of kick things off. This one is easy to kind of get into if there are any hooks. I think this one has some. The chorus does have some sing-along ability, although it's tough to understand those vocals. A certain love between us. I get it now. Obviously you can hear, I get it now. I see how it is. The rest of it was hard to kind of understand. But the chorus itself is definitely distinguishable and kind of makes you want to sing along. And it's also nice to see, this is, again, if you read into those lyrics, this seems to be a pretty mature song about he just got married. So it's not, I'm going to tear your ass up like we just got married. It's not, the starting line where he's talking about 212.99. It's certainly grown emotionally and creatively over the past 20 years, which is fantastic. They should do that. I think that I See How It Is a song that the more I listen to it, the more that I like it. I think the first time I listened to it, I did like it. And maybe some of the stuff later on is what made me be like, maybe this is in the background. But I See How It Is a very good kickoff track for this one. And I like that it's kind of conceptual, and, they're just coming back from this long period of inactivity in terms of recording, and they come with this positive, fun song. So I thought it was pretty good here at number one.
Positive fun's always good, Steve.
Yeah,
You
man.
got me. Now you got me thinking about what these songs could have been.
You mean like that guy Alex Melton who does like, if Blink-182 did Semi-Charmed Life, be like, if this song was written for Say It Like You Mean It, what it would sound like?
Yeah, almost like that. One of the things that I wrote down kind of listening to this track, or not to this track in particular, but the album, is how is it me, or does this album feel incredibly short? It's like 35 minutes long or something.
Yeah. It is pretty short.
And this song clocks in at like 2:30 or somewhere in that ballpark. And I can't stop thinking about it. Like, what, this song is good. I'm happy with it. I think it's a really good song overall, but what could it have been?
Yellow Card was the same way. It was just around 30 minutes, wasn't it?
That's crazy.
It was pretty short. Yellow Card was only 10 tracks. This is 11, but a lot of shorter tracks. I think there is, if I was looking at I think I have it up here. I think there were a couple songs that maybe hit 4 minutes. Yeah, there's two that hit 4 minutes, yeah. And there's a couple that are under four songs under 3 minutes. 36 minutes total.
That's crazy.
All right, Steve, what about sense of humor?
Don't ever lose your sense of humor. All right, so we have the most amount of nostalgia with this song, right? Because it was released as a single a little bit before the album came out. And honestly, I liked the song right away. And I was like, yes, Starting Line is back. This song is awesome. There's a catchy hook in the intro. They have these fun start stops that go along with the lyrics. I can't explain it to them. Dun, 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 and it just keeps going on. Drums really stand out. I really like the pre-chorus. I've had a taste of my own medicine. The chorus is quite catchy and earwormy. It gives you a very light, vibey, I don't know. I feel like it, I don't want to say like that 50s, 60s kind of swing kind of thing, but I don't know. I just feel like I want to be like, it just makes me kind of bop a little bit in a positive manner. the bridge or refrain, whatever it is, really ties the song together. When he starts saying, "Don't ever lose your sense of humor, don't ever lose your sense of humor." One theme that I will find musically in this album is that they do this. Their keyboardist, I gotta look up his name because I don't know it. Brian,
Schmutz.
yeah. So Brian, they do this thing where they just add light keyboard tones at certain times, and it does so much to just augment the rest of the song. The transition into the final chorus and Kenny's little mini scream, "Laughing it off," and that's just kind of the bow on top. And I love the way the song finished. Overall, strong pick for them to make this their first single, and a very strong song on the album here.
Go ahead, Sam.
First, I'll admit that I am proud of this, actually, but I listened to this song. I've easily listened to this song about 1,000 times. There was like a 4-hour road trip that I had to make for work where I listened to this song on repeat pretty much the entire way. That's how hyped I was on this song when it first came out. I like the theme of the song. I like the vocals of this song a lot. Steve, you mentioned something about the drums, and the drums is actually something that stood out to me a lot throughout this album. They're not anything groundbreaking, but I just really like how they're recorded and where they kind of complement certain songs. So I really like the drum patterns on this song a lot. Something that this song is just so catchy to me, and I think it really, like, back to like your comment around the screaming, immediately after the screaming, it goes back to kind of like a deeper voice. And so I just think like you get so many of his vocal elements in this song kind of sprinkled throughout that I just really appreciate. This is actually, for my kids, this is their favorite song on the album. They know every single lyric to this song. So I think it kind of does everything that we were talking about that's kind of sitting on this album. Like, you understand the lyrics on this song. I think they're pretty simple to sing along to, obviously very repetitive, but I don't know, all around really solid track. I couldn't agree more in terms of the right choice for a single.
I played this in the car this evening, and my daughter didn't look up from her phone. I'm like, do you hear this? What do you think? And she just kind of gave me a grunt. I don't know. She didn't really care. So I tried. I keep trying over and over again. It just doesn't work. But I do remember. So yes, Sam, you listened to this song probably maybe more than what you said. I think maybe you undershot it by a couple thousand.
Were you guys on this trip together?
We weren't, but I felt like I was, because he gave me the updates.
Did he text you every time? I'm listening again.
No,
Chris, I'm
no,
listening again.
No, but we were in the car another time, and I think that's when it first came out, and we played it. And hey, look, I like the song. I'm not going to complain. I think it's great. Can I listen to a song 1,000 times in a row? No, I can't. But so more power to you on that one. But it's definitely one that if you were going to pick one off this album to do that with, I don't necessarily think you lose if you're able to listen to a song that many times in a row, because this is a great track. I mean, I think it's a single. It was the first single for a reason. You know, it's upbeat, right? It's coming back, giving you an upbeat song. It still has that similar dirty, grungy sound to kind of intermix into that. So they keep the spirit of what this album is, which to me is really cool that they're able to do that, and they're able to weave it in throughout. Even though, again, I made the statement about later in the album, kind of getting a little worn out by it, but we'll talk about that when we get there. I don't think it applies here, because this song has enough perks to keep you going through it. And in addition to that that grungy song is fairly new in track number 2 anyway. So to me, I still want more of it, and this song gives you more plus. I don't think, though, this song has that typical lyrical melody that maybe would catch you on some other bands, other songs that are in this spot, that are in that title, that first single track. Like, you know, usually it's super memorable. Not to say it's not. It's just I just feel like it's not the catchiness that gets you here. It's the artistic approach, like I said, about how the song is crafted, the guitars, the way Kenny sings, the energy, the feeling behind, that you get. That's kind of like the fuel of the energy itself is Kenny's voice. So man, everything kind of just comes together great here. I think it definitely has. Another thing that came to mind was it feels like this album has like a 2000 teens alt rock sound. So you said a rock band. Like I'm thinking about these 2010 alt rock bands that came out that have that specific like contemporary melody to them, contemporary sound. The song definitely has that. And probably in 15 years, I wouldn't be surprised if it's on a Hyundai commercial, but that's not a bad thing. It just feels like it could be there. So
I think this, I just thought of this comparison. I feel like this is the 21 of Direction. This song is that to this record.
It's so crazy that you say stuff like that, because as I'm listening to stuff and gathering my notes too, I find myself trying to draw a comparison between one of their previous tracks and where this fits. I actually think if you go through the Starting Line's back history a little bit, they had their struggles with like major labels and people trying to get their hands on their product and whatnot. But I've heard a lot of like demos. Like if you listen to the Island demo and kind of where it started and what it turned into, I think about this song a lot because I feel like it's largely untouched. It's kind of how it was intended to be, obviously with them having full creative control over this. But it's also a song that I think like if this had been produced by like a major label, like I don't know that we'd have it in this version that we're seeing today, and it makes me appreciate it that much more because it's not an overly produced track. There's not a whole lot of flair to it. It's just catchy. It's just catchy and upbeat the entire time.
Agreed.
Agree. Okay, so the blame is next, not the blame. Blame is the next track here. And just a couple notes on this one. I liked it again. Big start to the song. It leads into what is another up-tempo track on this album. I think it still takes this one takes a little bit of the edge off. This was an initial thought. Like this takes the edge off that serious narrative that we talked about so far in the album. I think that's more tied to the way Kenny sings and the guitar structure, but it comes right back in. So I said that and I wrote it down, but then I feel like, then that feeling comes right back in and some of the other things they do later in the song. So I think that's fine, right? It's it keeps on theme. Like I keep saying, some standouts here. There's some really cool solo riffs that I picked out here in the guitar sections that I thought when everything else kind of not really drops out, but the guitar is prevalent. I really like that. And Kenny's delivery of the chorus, I'll take the blame. It's really what I pull out of the song is the most memorable piece. And that's a good thing. I really like the way that he delivers that line, and it sticks in my head. So you think about a catchy earworm. This is an unconventional one for sure, because it's not like it's super catchy, but I can't. Every time it comes on, I find myself like kind of singing it or bopping along to it, and I thought it was great. So another strong track.
Sam.
This felt like lyrically like maybe one of the darker tracks on the album. It definitely was in terms of like second, third listens on the album. I feel like this is the one that took me the longest to really get into. And the reason why I knew about Blame being on that set list that you were at was because I remember catching like a snippet somewhere of a YouTube video where they first performed it live and thinking like, oh, live, granted the video quality was terrible, so was the audio.
Sorry about that. I only had an iPhone 11 at the time.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember hearing it and going like, oh, okay, like I kind of like this. And then I heard the actual album version and I was like, I don't know that I like it as much. Something about like in comparison to the last track where I felt like the vocal range, like I got a little bit of a bunch of stuff, very catchy kind of throughout. I don't know. The vocals felt a little flat to me on this one. Definitely picks up a little bit outside of like the chorus, but there are little snippets here or there. As I mentioned earlier, there's parts of every song that I really like, and when he gets out of the chorus into the Yesterday I Had a Dream About It, I know exactly what that means. Like that's probably my favorite part of the song. And it's just nothing but clean vocals. There's really nothing else going on there.
It's
Yeah,
funny how you took it to dark, and I see it as a step up towards like a lighter song. It's so interesting.
I think a lot of the lyrics are more in the headed towards the light direction, or definitely reflections kind of a theme here, but lyrically it just feels like it was a little bit more in the negative space. I don't know. I mean, it's called Blame.
Sure. I don't know. I don't listen to lyrics. So go ahead, Steve.
I know why you like that section so much, Sam.
Why?
Because there's fucking really good keys in the background.
Ah,
Right there
there
are
you go.
very good keys, and they elevate the song very, very well. I like the rolling drums to start here in Blame. I think I like the pre-chorus better than the actual chorus. This is the first example of a song where it's basically a sentiment, and we're kind of just repeating that sentiment or that word, which kind of doesn't do like all that much for me. Again, that's why maybe I didn't pull into the actual chorus that much, where he's kind of just repeating blame, blame, blame. The song does have this transition into a much harder vibe right around 212 in the track. There's a loud grunt by Kenny into this like hard guitar section, and then pretty quickly it gets lighter again. So we're seeing some different looks here. So again, it's not one that I'm gonna gravitate towards. And if I'm tracking this record, I don't know that I would put this one at number 3, but it's not one that I'm gonna skip. So some positive, some negative there.
What is the loud grunt? Can you simulate that?
No, I can't. There is a loud grunt, and afterwards it gets very hard. Blame. Ugh. It goes after a blame. He's like, ugh. Something like that.
And it drags for a little bit, if I remember correctly.
And it is right around 212. I don't know if that's on purpose or if that's me just being a starting line nerd, but
That's very specific. Doesn't he grunt at the end too? Like a big grunt at the very end of the song?
And maybe that's what I'm thinking about, the final Blame.
There's like a grunt at the end.
Yeah.
And maybe he's saying blame, but I heard grunt.
there's a lot of these like one word sentiment titles. Maybe on the next record there'll be one called Constipation, and there'll be more and more grunts. Who knows?
The ultimate grunt.
Maybe. A lot of differences there, which is good. I think that the 1-2 word thing worked for me, didn't work for Steve. So good conversation. I think it takes us to circulate. So Sam, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, the one that you lied about and said you didn't listen to, but you did listen to 500 times. We got to find out what you thought for real.
Not 500, but I did listen. Circulate. If I had a problem with this song, it's that it's too damn short. It's 2:30 or something like that. Very repetitive song. Again, not anything that I think is super new to the theme. One thing I will say that I really like about this song, and that I wish they would do more, is I love the bass line on this song. And Kenny is a really good bass player. I just wish there were more bass solos kind of scattered throughout their songs, because when you do start to listen in on some of the bass lines throughout this album in general, they're pretty solid. And it's a good mix of different tones that he gets from his bass. But this song in particular, I think that just how it kicks off is really strong. Again, drums is another thing that really stood out to me here that really made this song just super tight and catchy. I see a lot of similarities between this and kind of like a Sense of Humor style song. Again, I think another overall solid track. Just needs to be a little bit longer.
Just more.
Good, Steve.
Yeah, so as the second single, a lot of people sung the praises of this one. I think it took me a few more listens to get into it. I remember, I think it was Steve Kelly or somebody told me that, Chris, it may have even been you that said that somebody really enjoyed this one more than Sense of Humor. And it took me a few times to get into it. And then when I read the lyrics, I'm starting to try and draw some comparisons. This first verse where he says, "Hey, no dancing to the DJ. They won't put down their phones this lot on some kind of mission. Some people can't be left alone." I'm like, are we talking about like them playing on stage? Is this the 20 years later, given the chance follow up? I don't know. Or is it just about, I feel like when you read more of the lyrics and the rest of the song, it just kind of seems like some sort of commentary on society in general. The song itself, I think, is a lot of fun. There's a chorus a very short burst, short phrases. Again, it's a little harder to understand exactly what he's saying, even though they're almost single words. You know, slow burn, billowing, your turn, meet me at the front, rotation, circulate, cloud burst, right before it's done. Maybe my ears are just old, and I couldn't. I didn't pull them without looking at those lyrics, but I feel like now that I know them, I will enjoy the song even more. And I will say that I can probably see this as being a really good live track. So I'm excited to see if they. I'm pretty sure that they will play this. I'm excited to see this live.
Oh yeah, I can't agree with you more on that one. The energy that will come from those short phrase by phrase, word by word deliveries with the guitar behind them, it's going to bring a ton of energy. I would love to hear that live. I think
Guys,
that's
December 13th, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tickets still available. I mean, you're both invited.
I think there's a blizzard I can't get through.
I have a babysitter. Listen, all the moisture coming up out of the east is going to push off and go to the west and hit Altoona, so you're going to be just fine.
I have to drive through that to get to you.
So that was just me bragging at knowing the words from Groundhog Day.
Didn't know that. That was my first point anyway. Here is, I think the best thing by far here is the way that chorus is delivered. I think that's just spectacular, and it's part of the reason why I think this song is a true standout on this album for the starting line, and maybe even in general. Like, it's just so many good things about this song. Other than that, obviously that was the big standout to me, but the dirty guitar riffs are once again right up my alley, done perfectly. The distortion, the tempo, it adds layers that add to the enjoyability factor of it. I can't say I would just be repeating a lot of what you guys said, but I can't say enough good things about this song. I could listen to this one 1,000 times, similar to what Sam did with the other song, because I think it's that easy to listen to and that much fun to listen to for sure. So I'm with this one 100%.
To your point around the lyrics, Steve, I think he even mixes them up. I don't know that it's always in that same order of slow burn, billowing, or maybe it is. I'm thinking of something different. Actually, I'm thinking of Curveball. But
I'm not sure, because the lyric side I had didn't repeat the chorus, so I only have it once written down.
The slow burn, pa pa pa, billowing, pa pa pa, like, just, I'm telling you, the drums on this song really made it stand out to me. Good song overall.
All right, well, we're here at Defeating the Purpose plus Pivot, Friends reference, and I guess I'll kick this one off. That's a strange title, I think, Defeating the Purpose and Pivot. It kind of starts off, it has a very lighter, very Are You Alone vibe to it, especially in the beginning. The verses, I don't know, they're a little too nursery rhyme like for me. Life is good, no paranoia. And I don't know, the chorus definitely really didn't do it for me. I felt like the song was a bit plodding. I think that Kenny's bass solo and the bridge with the marching band drums are probably the best. And overall, I think the song is kind of pretty middle of the road, but the second half of the song gets me more excited than the first half of the song, I think.
This is I treated this like I think this is two songs. And if Defeating the Purpose was a standalone song on its own, I don't know that I'd be a fan. I think it would easily be probably the weakest track on the album. And I remember when the album dropped, just kind of looking through some like Reddit and other places where people had posted their favorite songs. This was a pretty common one for people to say it was their favorite.
Really?
So, yeah, it was weird to me too at the time, but the more I listened to it, I couldn't agree more to your point around how the pivot portion of the song, the back half of the song, is just so good. So many different elements about that just even how it kicks off and transition into it is so good. One thing I did, it's just so multi-tempo in this song. I picked up just how there's a lot of different tempo shifts, which I liked. But again, if this were two separate tracks, Pivot, very strong. The Defeating the Purpose part, not so much. And similar to your comparison earlier, where you're kind of drawing it back to their old albums, I kind of associated this to like almost like a photography where it started off very mellow and then it got super heavy.
I
Like,
did I did the exact same thing you did. I was like, wait, photography or autography? I listened to both of them. And then I listened to Are You Alone? And that's the one I decided to make the comparison to.
yeah, and I would probably go with an Are You Alone too. I see that, but for me, it was like a photography thing where like it is kind of like the evolution of that type of song where it starts off very mellow, but then you just go into something very heavy and aggressive towards the back end. But
Photography is way more beautiful without me sounding sappy. Like that is just a beautiful song.
I
Whereas
agree.
when you start off kind of light and then you pivot into the second half, like different. I felt it was different.
And this is the closest thing that they even get to it, and it's not even a direct comparison. But that's just my take.
I'm just giving it a beat because super intense. Should I just walk away? Should I just let you guys continue?
No. It's you gotta add in.
No, I just feel like I feel like that I'm in a different room.
Say
than
island.
you guys.
Say island. We're just gonna fucking
Yeah, you missed it.
we're gonna pile the puns on.
I feel like I'm saying I feel like I'm speaking into a speaker that you guys can't hear, but you're in the same room talking to each other because it's again, this is just funny. I think that I'll give my opinion. So you'll give your opinion. I'll give my opinion. And then Sam will come back and say, and just completely just forget about what I said and said, Steve, what you said earlier about blah, 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 and this and that. So I again, all in fun. I appreciate having a different opinion on this. And I do again have a different opinion on this one. I guess I'm with the masses. I thought this was great. I thought the early part of this song was the standout. It does sound like Kenny's singing in slow motion, which is, I thought, a really cool effect and just a different way of listening to a song with the same theming as previously, but it added another layer to it with that slow, plodding, distinct, deliberate pacing that the tempo brings to the song. I think, again, So Good was brought up. I think that's so good. And it really just adds a lot of interest for me. Like, there's nothing that is boring about this song. It continues to make me want to hear more. And that creativity just continues with the drum beats. And this is a really cool part of the song in a lot of ways. The way the drum beat is in line with each of the words that are spoken, and that's in specific parts. You get a beat and a word at the same time. I think that's so cool, the way that they have that all lined up and it works. So it's also, they do the same thing with the guitar too. There's different points in the song where every time you hear a guitar strum, it's a lyric and it goes in line with that. Usually it's every other, it's different. This one goes in tempo with certain parts of the song, which I think is just amazing. So it's the drums and guitar with the lyrics. In terms of everything else, this is a total package. I think that this song, from front to back, even the building part of it, where it gets, a little bit heavier, like you guys had mentioned, it adds to the enjoyability factor of this. So really great tune. I was into this one.
Sam, you have to keep this up where you only respond to things that I say just because he called it out, and
vice versa.
It'll be funny.
The other way too. Not just the one way, the other way.
I mute my audio when he starts going through his portions. I don't know.
You just completely ignore it and then just keep talking about the other person.
Zoned out. All right, Chris, you are eternally youthful, so you get to kick off Eternal Youth.
Is it just what you want me to say? Titular? Is that why?
I gave you the opportunity. You run with it or you drop it. It's up to you.
I mean, I kind of just chucked it into the air. I just said it. Titular. That's a thing. I don't know if the joke fell flat or not, but anyway, it really is. No, we're not going there, but we are saying it. It is a High School Never Ends, the podcast word of the day. But there's nothing wrong with this song, guys. I just think it's super short, kind of nondescript, a little passable. I listened to this one so many times to try and pull something from it that I could talk about. And every time this is one of those songs where my mind drifted away and it was already over and I had to go back and listen to it again. I didn't dislike it. I just don't have much of an opinion on why I would like this one. So this is more of a background song for me that has a lot of the same positives that I talked about already with some of the other songs. It's just not enough. I can't find anything else to say. So I'll leave it to you guys to do that.
Sam, what did you think?
I think it's overall it's a pretty fun, upbeat song. This is one of the songs where like the chorus is cool. The like just kind of the dragging on the you that you get throughout, but
Can you do that again? Your audio dropped out.
I'll do it again if you want.
Yeah, one
Pretty
more.
good.
One more.
That's all you get. You got to start paying for these. But I really like everything leading up to the chorus. Musically, the da na 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 da na 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 that kind of goes in between. Again, I don't disagree with some of what you're saying there, Chris, and I'm not just saying that because you just called me out for it. But
I didn't call it like I'm not. You guys take it the wrong way. Like,
I'm kidding.
Just part of the conversation.
It is a short song. Probably not the strongest chorus for me in terms of just the overall album. And thinking back to the comment that you made earlier, Steve, like the hook just wasn't really there for this song for me. But there are some elements about it that still make it a no skip track for me overall.
Yeah, I like the guitar and the bass in this one. I thought that the intro is very cool. Again, I would mirror what you said, just Sam, not Chris, in that it's another chorus that I felt like it just didn't really stand out. You know, short phrases, separated, punctuated, not the same sounding, but similar in concept to kind of what I said about Circulate. Again, I feel like one of the shining stars of a lot of these songs is that they've learned how to do a great bridge. Another great bridge here. I love the cadence of the guitar. I just didn't really pull into the you. I don't know. It didn't really do it all that much for me as a titular track.
Yeah, I can go with that.
I expect more out of a titular track.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, I agree. I like the concept of eternal youth. I would love to have that. And I like the concept of the song. Again, you kind of have to read the lyrics because I don't feel like they're super easy to digest just from listening somewhat casually. You know what I mean?
You don't think that would get weird eventually? Like somebody would call you out and say, bro, aren't you like 70, but you look 20?
I mean, I feel like that's a good problem to have. So
Yeah, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, the gray hairs they're creeping up more and more. So I'll take some
age like
youth.
do you age internally and just externally that you look young, or how does it work? I
don't really know. I'm aging externally and internally, exponentially. So I don't really, I can't really personally identify with the concept of eternal youth. I feel like I'm young, but
yes. If you would have had that wine cooler that I offered you, you would have felt even more young, but you didn't.
Next time.
I tried to give it to you.
I do yearn for eternal youth. I remember the days where I didn't have to take Advil before going to a concert. or looking for seating arrangements at a venue.
Don't forget about the Advil after the concert. That's also quite important.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, so we're going to get into the latter half of the album here with the song Curveball. And I hate to keep calling it out, but I'm going to call it out because we're talking about this album. We finished this album with 5 songs, one-word titles that are kind of what I talked about earlier, where they're, you know, a single word relating to a concept. I do really like how this one kicks off musically. Slow drum hits and that guitar lick. But we're doing this again kind of where all the lyrics are kind of, you know, short punctuated phrases. I feel like for me, it's a perfectly fine song. And a lot of the songs that I do feel like are more background and I can't get too into, they're still a perfectly good collection of songs. There's just no hooks in this one, and it's super repetitive. The fill in my lungs, bite my tongue, biding my time. I guess I can understand the words a little bit more. What I will say is that when the song opens up about 2 minutes in, they pick up the pace. It does get a bit more exciting, and I feel like the second half of the song, similar to what I said about the pivot song, it kind of makes up for a slower first half, in my opinion. So that's what I thought about Curveball. It's also a good pitch. If you're a Major League Baseball pitcher, a curveball, if you can throw it well, can strike out a hitter.
Go ahead, Sam.
I think everything about
Thank you
this.
for laughing.
Yeah, I think everything about this song is a curveball. I like the clean guitar in this song. The keys that we've mentioned kind of throughout. This is one of them where there's some subtle keys that are sprinkled out that I just really love in this song. You get a good mix of vocal ranges, but I really like that kind of short vocal burst, like the choppy verses of the song. I like that a lot when he does that. Again, just the biggest problem I have with this song is just how short it is, because I think this song could have really built up into something super, super strong, but it's a song that I repeat quite a bit when listening to this album. I would go as far as to say that I typically will jump tracks and go from like opening track straight to this song.
Wow. Okay. I like your opinion.
Wow, that's a strong statement. Okay. I got to give this one a couple more listens then, if that's the case. I didn't see it that way. This one was hit me as like more of a background song than more than anything else. It's just another chill song for me. It's like a chill song that I have to be in the mood to listen to. So if I'm in the mood to like kind of just have a song on where I can just kind of float away, I think this is one of those. Or if I'm shopping at Urban Outfitters, I do feel like if I walked into Urban Outfitters, and usually when you do walk in, you're in the women's section, so you move your way to the back, and you find the section of clothes for men. I guess if you're me, clothes that you would never buy, but you feel like you might want to buy. But when you look at them, you know that there's no way in the world that you could ever pull any of this off. So then you move to the t-shirt section.
We're really getting an insight into Chris's shopping habits and his personal life.
And you really are into graphic tees, but none of them really you would ever really wear, like a t-shirt, like a Playboy tee. Like none of it really would be anything that I would wear out, right? So it'd be cool to see in the store, but and all this time the song's still playing, so it makes you feel that way. But anyway, back to the song itself. I don't know if I have much more to say. This, at first I'm like, hey, is this a ballad, guys? But it's not really a ballad in a lot of ways. It's just a slower tempo song, and it does take an upbeat turn. So, I think that was definitely a positive here. Not that I didn't like the slower pace stuff, but I kind of like that upbeat turn a little bit more towards the end. It adds a good dynamic to it. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle on this one.
Guys,
Like
this album, I'm sorry, I have to say this. This album is missing a good ballad. They usually they produce kick-ass ballads.
man, that's what I was saying with what's
Photography.
Defeating the Purpose being the closest thing to it, when they could have definitely hit us with a photography style ballad.
Do you think that he thinks, though, that these songs are like there's certain songs that are ballads, like in his opinion, like, oh, this is just my version of a ballad on this album?
I'm totally making this up, but I almost feel like he's like has this mindset of like, I'm going to make the complete opposite of what everybody wants me to make. Like that's kind of how he approaches some of that stuff. I don't want to be popular. I just want to make what I like.
I would feed more into the second part of what you said, and if he's not, and I said Kenny is the front man. It's a band, right? Everybody's writing the songs, but essentially, if I feel like it is just they're gonna write what they want to write, and if they're not feeling that ballad, then they're not gonna do it. I don't know that I personally think that it matters what anybody else thinks. It's just it's about like we were shackled by record labels. We did certain things, and at this point in our careers, we can support ourselves financially, and we're gonna put this out ourselves, and we're gonna put out what we want to put out. And but I would say give us some more ballads, guys.
There was an interview that I saw recently where he was talking about how disappointed he was in some of the bands that have kind of resurfaced and like what the product that they've put out.
Did he name names?
No, but he all he mentioned was just several bands recently that have kind of resurfaced and doing these big tours and doing all this stuff again. It almost like the takeaway from it was like it just feels like they're feeding into the machine though. They're giving the people exactly what they want and not necessarily the product that they would be most proud of or something that's evolved tremendously. And that's why I always feel like some part of this is like, oh, I know what you guys want. And he's even said things like that lyrically, like one of their songs that calls out like if you're looking for say it like you mean it is essentially like screw you. But like I feel like a lot of that in some of their new music where it's like you could have made this into something very pop punky, but it's almost like intentional that you just decided not to.
He's a very involved individual. I wonder if he was thinking, like, when you say things like that, is he calling out Blink-182? Is that what we're thinking?
I don't know. I was going more towards like well, wait a minute. Like I don't know why my brain went to like a yellow card type thing, but I don't know that might have been too close of their releases might have been too close together there.
Maybe. I mean,
Interesting though.
it is interesting. I mean, look, the guy has matured, right? He's matured a ton, and he may have always been the artistic individual that we're talking about now, and thought about, but the thing about like say it like you mean it. I mean, he was 8 years old, so I mean, when you're that young, how can you really like be able to do anything other than the pop punk stuff? I think that goes in line with that. But as he gets older, I think what is he 27 now?
Or is 41.
He older? So I might be off on the numbers.
He's eternally youthful, that's for sure.
Yeah. That is true. That is true.
All right, let's finish out this album. We have Granted at number 8. Chris, I think it's your turn to kick one off, maybe?
I will. I'm not going to have much really fun to say about this one. This is maybe I just get worn out by this time in the album here, and I'm gonna lean on you guys to lift me up here towards the end. I was split on this one though. I'll tell you that. I felt like that was my first line is, hey, maybe I just get worn out by this song, ladies and gentlemen. But then the next line is, or maybe I love it and I just don't know it. Because as I listen to it more, I'm like, wow, like, is this a song that I can get used to, or I can really learn to like more if I listen to it on its own, or like you said earlier, Steve, like, if it's a song I kind of pluck out and listen to, maybe it's one that will end up, carving out some room in my playlist for whatever reason. So I can't make that determination now. I think there's a lot going on here in this song that muddies it up a little bit. And, the comments are similar from previous analysis in the way that they execute this one with the dirty guitars, the grungy guitars, that sound. Again, nothing's changed. I don't know why I feel like I do here. I don't know why I'm so split, but I think it might just be because that there's nothing that I can really sit here and like give a line to on, man, I really like that, or really like that. I like the body of work. It's just nothing specific. So it kind of fades into the background. And that's where I am right now. But I think as time goes on, maybe there's something that'll bring itself to light that I can really think about when I think about this song. But maybe you guys will talk about it. So go for it.
I like the verses for sure. And while the chorus does follow some of the patterns that I've mentioned ad nauseum here, I feel like this is one that I can really kind of like vibe out to. I don't know any other way to say it, that I find myself just really digging it, even though, again, it is following some of these same past patterns. This song has some great instrumentals to it. And again, incredible low-key keys. The keys just add this extra element to it that make me enjoy this song a whole lot.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page here. There's one thing that he does with his vocals where it's the closest thing to like spoken word. That in the last song, it's how was I supposed to know that he'll just kind of, it's almost like a statement piece. I really like how this song kind of starts off with the same kind of lyrical elements to it or vocal elements to it. Gritty guitar. I like all the music in this song. The one thing I did write down with this song is I think towards like the next 2 to 3 songs, they kind of blend together a lot where nothing really stands out too much. But again, because like there's just not a hook here or like a chorus that I really like. I like everything else about the song, but I just struggle a little bit with the chorus.
And
It
there I was vibing out to it.
could have been a little stronger for me.
Do you would you have preferred a straight up spoken word song completely?
Oof, it'd be good. There's a band named Movements that does that really well. Not all spoken word, but they have spoken word throughout their songs. I love them.
There was a lot of spoken word in the '90s. You know,
Like William Shatner.
was that
He did some spoken word stuff.
he did?
He did.
Since when? I have to listen to that now. I didn't know he did it.
Yeah, it's there. It's great.
There's a lot of other stuff too. You know, like Blessed Union of Souls.
Oh gosh, we can't get into that again. All right, we're gonna get into enjoyment. Sam, you kick this one off.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the first song where we get like higher pitched vocals?
Yes.
Yes, I'm wrong, or yes, I'm right.
No, I mean, hey, this is the first time it was prevalent in
Throwback.
my opinion. Like it was super high pitched, and I could really say that was the one thing that stuck out to me. So that's why I immediately said yes.
My note on this said that this felt like a song that could have been on Direction. And the more I listened to it, I think it's a good song. There's so many vocal like pieces that I really like. The not for me to say part. And then lyrically, I got to give this like an extra point because he calls out Sade on repeat in the lyrics, and Sade was my wedding song, or a song from Sade was a wedding song. So it gets brownie points from me and the misses on that one. Again, where I talk about these next couple songs kind of blending, this is another one where the chorus was good. But I don't know. I just feel like there could have been something there that could have made this song probably the standout song on the album.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like this one has, I don't know, hints, notes of all their previous albums. You know, when you say that there's some higher pitched Kenny, there's some gritty Kenny, like it has a slight hint of Say It Like You Mean It, a little like, you know, it's a little floatier of a guitar, if you will, but then it also has that boats and that Direction kind of it has a little bit of everything. I feel like this is kind of an amalgamation of Starting Line. I found the chorus was pretty fun, not super hooky, but still really enjoyable. And I like at the end of the song, they kind of open up the chorus a few extra lines. They have it like super crescendo, and then they fade it out slow. I feel like of these, you know, latter album tracks, I feel like this is one that did kind of stand out to me a bit.
I think flat is how I would describe the chorus. It just feels a little flat mixed in with everything else around it. That seems so much stronger vocally for me. But
we have to listen to this together and then debate about it, because I don't think I found it flat, but I'm not listening to it this second, so I appreciate your opinion.
Now I want to listen to it this second because I want to hear who's right and who's wrong between the two of you. Because I don't know.
Sam's a liar, so
he not about this one though. I think that he's straight up about this one. I think that if you group in the last 3 songs of the album into one bucket, that I enjoy enjoyment the most out of the 3. It's aptly titled, I guess. A lot of that's because of the lyrical delivery. I thought that it was a nice change, right? It was something that we were familiar with from before, previous albums, but I think that on this album, because we haven't really heard it a ton, that it was a nice switch up, especially like, again, you get into the latter half of the album, you want something a little bit different that catches your attention. That does it. because the song itself definitely doesn't really do anything else that catches my attention. So I think that that alone again will give it a couple more points. But in the long run, enjoyment is the best of maybe the not so best of the latter three of the album. So that's where I'll kind of stick. That's where I'll stick my opinion, and other people will tell me where to stick it. But I think that this I think this is pretty spot on. So did anybody not sound off on this one? Did you talk about this one yet, Sam? I can't remember.
No, I did, and I think you stuck your opinion in the right place.
Well, talk about humility, because I'm not going to be much help here. So go for it.
Humility to me felt like almost like the most experimental song to me on the album in a weird way. Very chunky guitar riffs right after the chorus. Back to my comment from earlier where I just keep hearing about influences from like the title fight. This is like the closest thing to like trying to mirror something like that for me. Just I've been listening to them a lot lately, and I feel like this really reminds me a lot of where that influence probably could have played a role. But then it kind of cleans up. Like, I think a part of the chorus gets very clean with the humility always seems to look good on me. And it's just, I think, very well sung and pretty song overall.
Steve.
Yeah, I like the vocal cadence in the chorus. There's kind of that, I don't know, it's light. I can't remember if there's woo-oos in this one or not. I forget which one there were woo-oos. The lead guitar is very solid in this song. Again, we have an emotional one-word concept song. The one thing that stands out to me is the die, ego, die on the road to victory. Like, it's not past these guys to throw in some EAGLES references here. I don't know if I like it or if I don't like it, but it definitely makes me interested in it. So I kind of dug this one.
Just like I said earlier about a song that I listen to over and over again to try and just get something from it, to feel something. I listen to these last three tracks the most as I was prepping for this conversation, over and over and over and over again, starting with Enjoyment, finishing with Benchmark, to collect any thoughts I could possibly collect on these three. And I couldn't, it was very challenging. So Enjoyment, I got some stuff out of. I think, you guys already heard that, but man, Humility really didn't stand out. I just think it's a song. It's just a song that's there, and I listen to it, and I'm on to the next song. So that's all I can give you. I don't know. Like I'm kind of torn.
I don't like this song's placement in the track list. I think it deserves to be bumped up at least a couple notches.
I think I could see that.
There's a lot of albums that we've talked about, and I don't want to be ad nauseum about, the end of the album, we're tired, we don't listen. Like, I know that we've talked about, Steve, on this show, like so many albums where either you or I have been over the moon about, a latter track on the album. And it happens, and it can happen, and it has. But then there's a lot of albums where that's not the case, where it's just kind of it fades into the background. I don't think Kenny definitely feels that he stuck this song here. I think that he thinks that it's amazing, just like any other song on this album. I'd actually want to know where he ranks these last two songs, to be honest with you, in his hierarchy. But it's an RT song. It has a lot of the same components of what we talked about already. That's where I'll leave it.
I will say that there's in the latter half of this album, there's no jolt of electricity that is like, wow, this song is just punching me in the face. And it's again, they're good tracks. I'm enjoying these tracks, but there really isn't that one that's really just like reinvigorating you into the album. It kind of keeps on the same tempo throughout the latter half of the album. And I guess that brings us to Benchmark, the last track. And this song, guys, makes me feel like I am rocking on a boat. The time signature is pretty nutty here. There's a simple sing along chorus, together, endless, together, we can't go wrong. Is it too simple? I don't know. I feel like, again, this one is not jolting me and saying like what an amazing last track on the record, but it's enjoyable. It's fine. I don't need to skip it. I will say when the album starts to repeat and I go back to I See How It Is, it does invigorate me a little bit more.
I think
Maybe I need to get invigorated a little bit more, Steve. I think it gets lost in the shuffle for me. So, Sam, I'm sure you'll be much more eloquent than me. Go for it.
I think this song is in the right slot. There's like a synth or something going. I don't know if it's a synth or like a bass line that's in the background that's like the wom 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 kind of carrying throughout the song that I like.
Yeah, they're hitting the whammy bar, man. I know that from Guitar Hero.
Is that really what it is? Is that just a whammy bar on a bass line?
I totally made that up.
Yes,
maybe.
You sold me. Yeah, I mean, is it the best closing track ever? No, but I think it's in the right spot. This is probably the scratchiest you get from some of his vocals. Even in kind of the more mellow vocals, it sounds very scratchy. But I like how it sounds. I think it's overall a very good kind of gritty song that kind of carries that theme throughout, but it's good.
I don't have anything additional to add. I'll save us time here. I think that I said my piece. I just think it gets lost for me. So
I will say that they've had some pretty killer last tracks, and I don't know that this one lives up to the hype of the previous.
Yeah. I think you're right, but I also think that with time, will we think differently? And it's hard to really say that now, but could these tracks that we're saying are background or whatever they are right now, could these end up being ones that we see differently in time? So obviously we'll have to come back in 10 years, maybe 15, maybe 18 years from now and talk about it.
Maybe.
Well, we did it. We got through all of the tracks on this album, all 5 minutes or so minutes of Eternal Youth. Some great conversation back and forth. A lot of things that hopefully you guys either agree with or disagree with. Let us know in any of the ways that you can speak with us or to us or whatever. But before we get to anything else, we do need to get to the next segment, and that's Ranking It, where we rank our top 3 favorite off of the album Eternal Youth. Plus, I have a little thing that I threw in today. There's a little bit of a bonus to that. And I'll just flat out tell you, nobody has prepared for this, but we will do our best. So you're going to rank your top 3, 3, 2, 1, but then you're also going to give everybody out there that's listening the song that you feel that with time can really be the one that'll grow on you the most, the one that you think that with time will end up being much more in the favorite column versus not. So I'll give you maybe 3 seconds to think about that. And Sam, you're going to have even less time because guests always go first because it is the courteous thing to do. So go ahead and give us your ranking it, 3, 2, 1, ranking it, 3, 2, 1, and then give us that one song that you think can really grow on you with time.
Yeah, I came prepared for ranking it. I'm just letting my thoughts kind of simmer on that 4th option. So with my ranking it was a tough one for me to just pick 3. But I kind of settled on the idea that if this entire album was loosely structured from these 3 songs and we got 11, 12 songs worth of some influence out of these, I think it would have been hands down like the strongest album of all time from the starting line. So number 3 goes to Sense of Humor for several reasons that we've talked about, but also it's a song that I've just played more than any other song on this album. And I think it was the best introduction to new starting line music I think I could have ever expected. In the number 2 spot is I See How It Is, because I love how strong of an album opener that was. And then number 1 I think it's probably a curveball because it's curveball. And I don't know that you guys would have expected that to be number one, but it's a song that I remember from the very first listen, just thinking, just from vocals to music to everything else. It was just something that I really loved outside of it being incredibly short. So there's my ranking it.
Cool. What's your grower?
My grower, I would have to say, if we're talking about like getting somebody to listen to this album and really banking on them like picking up on a song over time, I'd have to go with like Circulate. Um, but I really want to say something like Enjoyment is one that I think could grow on people.
On you, though. On you specifically.
Oh,
You.
then Enjoyment for sure.
Enjoyment. Okay. Okay. That was one of the ones that I just kind of like, just shoved into a drawer and closed the drawer and be like, yeah, better. I'll give it another shot just for you. Maybe it'll grow. All right. Steve, do you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. I had a little bit of trouble with the number 3 spot. I had kind of 3 different songs that I was considering putting in this spot. And so I wouldn't really consider those growers because I already liked them. You know, I liked Enjoyment and Humility, but I think number 3 is going to go to I See How It Is. Enjoyed that as the first track there. Number 2, I'm going with Circulate. Again, I feel like it had that catchiness of a single. That's why they probably released it as one. And number 1, I'm going with Sense of Humor. It was the first song I heard off this record, and I think that it's my favorite song off this record for sure. And I appreciate your question and your curveball. Curveball is not going to be in my list here, particularly, but I think if there's one that I feel like could grow into a song that is in the top echelon, not counting the ones that I've already ranked, I feel like it's going to be Granted. I think that I can appreciate that one more and more as I listen to it. So in 18 years, maybe that one will crack my top 3. We'll see.
All right. All right. We got 2 of them, and then mine, a little bit more chalk, kind of. I put Sense of Humor at number 3. There's no shame in that. Obviously, I was a huge fan of this song. We talked about it. It definitely belongs in the top 3. No question at all. I think songs I liked a little bit better. And number 2 was Defeating the Purpose. So this one was polarizing a lot of ways on this in this conversation. But I just thought there was so much creativity, so much of a different approach to what I was listening to. You know, the slow motion way that it kind of sounded like, the way it deliveries, the fact that it wasn't a ballad at all, but gave you that slower vibe, and then it picked it up. The way that everything was kind of intermixed with the vocals and the drums and the guitar was just great, right? I think so much great stuff like here. So Defeating the Purpose, number 2, and then Circulate for me was by far the number 1. I can't get enough of this song. So if you're going to check one song out and you want to listen to me, Circulate's the one to start with. Now, the grower for me, Steve and I generally don't agree 100%, but this time we do, because Granted is the one that I wrote down before this even started, of where I think that with enough listens, I can really get into this track. I just couldn't do it yet. So
with time. And and to that sentiment, I wanted to pose a question before we wrap up here. You know, it took 18 years to get another full-length record out of Starting Line. And so now we have 4 in total. We have Say It Like You Mean It, we have Boats, we have Direction, we have Eternal Youth. Sam, we'll start with you. Where would you put this one if you were to rank it? You don't have to go exact, but what do you think?
Just this one where I throw it, or my overall ranking of all of them?
Where would you put this one? Is this your favorite Starting Line record? Is your least favorite? Is it somewhere in the middle? What do you think?
As much as I would love to say that it's at the top of the list because of just how long I've waited for New Starting Line, I'm going to say that I'm super happy with what they put out, but it's still probably middle of the pack. I think like a Boats for me, or even Direction might still be in front of it.
So you're saying "Say It Like You Mean It" is your least favorite?
The,
If I'm reading between the lines of what you are saying.
The only reason is because I can't let the nostalgia factor carry so much weight for me on things. There are just songs and things that have evolved and gotten so much better over time that there's still it's a good album, but if it were it wouldn't be the first starting line album I'd put on if I were listening to them.
Fair enough. Chris, any opinion on this?
I have limited exposure to a lot of the middling albums. I'll just be honest. Like I've listened to Direction only a couple times. So I think that the majority of what I'm going to say is really between this one and Say It Like You Mean It. And I like this better. I just like this sound. So I don't think it's fair for me to say it's number one based on, what I just said. But I think at this point in time in my life, I probably need to say that because I only have a limited subset of what I can really sit here and evaluate. That said, and if we reviewed it on the show and I forgot, Steve, then shame on me. But maybe that we need to do a little bit more of a deep dive on some of the other albums to sharpen my skills at some other starting line albums.
We have done 2 of the 3 other albums. We did "Say It Like You Mean It" during a drive through summer, and then we did Direction at one point in time. I forget what the concept was.
And so that's 3 of the 4. So maybe I am an expert.
So you're saying we need to do Based on a True Story. That's next up.
It is. Yeah, I haven't listened to Direction in a long time. I think that might have been the last time I listened to it was for that show, and I do remember that. And I of course I do remember Say It Like You Mean It. Of course, and I've actually I was talking to Sam earlier this summer, and when I was going out doing some runs, Say It Like You Mean It was the album that I committed to myself that I would listen to over and over and over again until I maybe thought about it a little bit different of a way, and I never did. So sorry.
Well, guys, if nostalgia is a weight to be carried, give me a fucking backpack and fill it with "Say It Like You Mean It," because that's just where I live, man. If I'm putting on a starting line record because I feel like listening to a starting line record, even though it's old and I've listened to it a million times and maybe it's less mature of an album than what came after it, that's what I am putting on. I want to hear Leaving. I want to hear Up and Go. If I'm doing emo karaoke, I want to sing The Best of Me. I want to finish it off with This Ride. Hello, Houston, Status Goes. Oh, the whole thing. There's never going to be a beating it. Now, I'm not saying that my opinion is the right opinion because there's, again, when we chatted with Kenny, with my buddy Steve, he was like, "Kenny, I love all your new stuff. You need to stop playing the old stuff and play all the new stuff." So I certainly understand the sentiment for the newer stuff. I love me some Boats. I love me some Direction. I probably just need some more time with this. If it was today and I was doing a ranking of the albums, this would be number 4. It's too new. I need more time with it. I don't think that they came out with an album that blew me away that could beat my nostalgia. My nostalgia is too much of a weight. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that I hold the older stuff in very high regard. I'm proud of it. I love it. And I look forward to seeing a mix of all of it, because that's the great thing about seeing this band and any band live, go see live music, is that you get to see a mix of all the years and all the songs. And I would probably take a guess that they will play more songs off of Say It Like You Mean It than any other album, because that's what they always do. And that's a lot of the fandom of the band is based in that album, but they will mix in other things. And I look forward to hearing what they have from Eternal Youth, seeing it live, and Homegrown's opening. So that's going to be fucking great. Guys, tickets are maybe still available. Come to Philadelphia, please. In a couple weeks.
I would love to. I would love to.
Just abandon your families. Come on up.
I keep telling people that this album, if this is the first glimpse of new starting line after 18 years and they're going to build on this, then we're in for a good show. Do I think this is the album that's going to win over a bunch of new fans? No, but I think it's scratched a lot of itches for the people that have been waiting around for a long time.
let's throw that question around real quick. Okay, so they hadn't recorded a full album in 18 years, and now they have one. And listen, we all know the history. They play at least a couple times a year in Philly. They have done multiple tours over the years on the West Coast and the Midwest. They've played Warped Tours, they've played festivals, all those things. I mean, do you have an inkling? Like, do you think that they would record another album, or did they scratch the itch and this is that?
I think they got the foundation set for another album through their own recording, doing everything independently. I think it sets up perfectly for them to be able to do more music in the future.
I agree with that. I think what we've seen is that pattern of bands that they come back and then they want to continue to do it for at least one or two more albums. I think we'll see more from them in the near future.
And I think they came in at a time where they can ride the wave of this like pop punk return that's still alive to make enough money to get them to a second album if they wanted to. So I think it's there. They want it.
I don't think this is a full-time, the starting line is not a full-time job for
Right.
these guys. So they don't need it. I kind of, my school of thought is that it highly depends on the audience. If they do this Eternal Youth Tour and everybody goes to take a piss when they do these new songs and nobody gets into them, then maybe they're like, fuck you guys, no more. And if people get into these songs and rock out and make some circle pits and make them feel good about these new songs, then maybe they feel like they did a good thing and they keep it going. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe they need to do a remix of this album and do songs featuring Avril Lavigne and MGK.
I don't feel like they're that kind of collab band. I don't think
Post
they have
Malone.
any interest in that at all.
Post Malone on Circulate.
They
Come
did
on.
get their shout out from Taylor Swift. So if Taylor on her last, not the most recent, the one before that, but if she wanted to do a song with them, I'm sure they would.
There you go. That's the ticket. Nobody's going to go to the bathroom. That bathroom line's going to be empty.
That's right. And starting line, thank you guys. It's been 18 years since we had a new album from you, and some mixed things, but overall, I think positive. Thank you for Eternal Youth. I think we're looking forward to seeing this tour live and hopefully more stuff out of the band. And this feels good as a starting line fan. There's new stuff out there. There's new stuff to listen to, and it's fantastic.
For sure.
Certainly is, and it was a blast talking about it. Love talking about these albums in 2025. I don't think the fun's over just yet. We'll talk about maybe another one or two. Who knows what the future will bring? But I will say that again, thank you, Sam, for coming on the show. I brought a really, really, really awesome perspective as normal. So appreciate you, and your fandom definitely will continue on of this band.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, if you enjoy the show, just like I just said we did, obviously we want to hear from you. And if you have Apple, you can let us know that, right? You can go on Apple, you can give us a written review, let us know what you think about the show. And also, if you really want to support the show and you love what you heard, give us a 5-star review. We'd love to see it, of course. Makes me feel good, helps the show, all those things. In addition to that, don't forget about our shop. We still have our shop going with a ton of great stuff. It's the holidays, obviously, reasons to purchase things for people as nice gifts. Everybody needs a mug. Who wouldn't want a High School Never Ends shirt? They're all there available for you on our shop, which is available through our hub, www.hsnepod.com.
That's right. And support us on all the social things. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at HSNEPod, like High School Never Ends Pod. We have a Discord server, which is free. You can join and chat about pop punk music and life. You can join our Patreon and support the show and get bonus content. Thank you to our patrons: Punkish Dad, Punkish Dad's Friend, Punk Rock Mom, Jeff, Tom, Ashley, Jason, Sam, Chris W., and Nick. Join the fun on Patreon. That didn't quite rhyme. I can confirm we'll be back next week with an all-new episode, another album from 2025. That is confirmed. I will not tell you what it is, but until then, keep on rocking your dad bods, throw up your rock hands, and blast a pop punk.
Dragon Wagon.